Welcome back, everybody. Got a fun tutorial for you today. Going to be showing you how to work with a new 3D scanner for your phone. Works on Android or iOS, so you're covered on whatever phone you got, unless you got an old flip phone. Not going to work. But basically, it's photogrammetry on your cell phone. And what you end up doing is taking a bunch of images around an object to create a 3D model. It's a lot similar to other applications. I'm going to go over what I like and dislike about the app. It's the KIRI Engine, and it's so far so good. I'm liking it. But basically, let me show you a little breakdown video on how to get it going. A little recording I did a few days ago. Basically, when I do photogrammetry, I like to take pictures of nature. Okay, so basically, I found this old tree in my mother's yard, and I was like, "Ooh, man, there's so much texture and detail on this thing. I want to capture this," and it did a really good job. This particular video, I just took a picture of the dark side of it there in the shade because I wanted to see how much detail I could actually pull out of it. The free version of it will only let you take up to 70 images per model. There is a premium version that you can purchase, and I think right now during this video, I think it's like 50-60 bucks a year. So it's really not that bad. You got unlimited imports, unlimited exports. You can take up to 200 images as opposed to 70. So the more images you're able to take, the higher quality model you'll get out of it. So basic rule of thumb when you're taking this is take a snapshot, take a step or two over, and just kind of do a circular pattern around your object. As with this current example, I didn't quite do that because I just wanted to get a high detail scan of just one side, and the other side was in the sun, and I didn't want to capture all that sun detail and have the textures be totally goofy. So, but as you can see, we just went through, took a bunch of scans of everything till I maxed out my 70 images. You know, as it says, normal account can do up to 70. And then you can label it, tag it or whatever, and then give it a model name. You can export either OBJ or FBX. Let's go to the next video here where I could pull up that scan that I did. So basically, after you're done uploading, it'll take 10-15 minutes to a couple hours. It just depends on how many people are in line to get their stuff processed. So, but as you can see, this is a low model representation that you can view on your phone, and I mean, even the low poly model is quite nice even on a phone. But what we're going to do today, we're going to take a look at it inside Zbrush and show you a couple ways that you can manipulate it and turn it into something cool. So let's go ahead and head over to Zbrush. Alright, so here is my original scan that I did. Same tree, but I was able to get the whole backside of it because it was shady and cloudy at the time I did this. And that's the best time. You want like an overcast sky, or the sun's behind the mountain, behind the hills or whatever. You don't want direct sunlight hitting your object. You want like just ambient bounce light and hitting your object, so you get a nice even color. But as you can see, this is what I came up with on my original scan. But then I took it to the next level because I noticed that, well, these two little things look like eyes and this looks like a mouth, so I went in, I manipulated it, and I came up with this. Kind of cool. Made a little tree monster there. I don't know, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. I think I even 3D printed it. It was kind of fun to 3D print this. But the quick turnaround was what really impressed me about it. And if you wanted, you can go over to my Sketchfab and you can take a look at it in 3D. And I'll have the links in the description there. I just baked out normal maps and all that, but you can take a tour around and take a look at it. This is a low poly model with UVs and normal maps to give you the projected detail, but all in all, not bad. So let's go back to ZBrush there, and let's take a look at the scan that I demonstrated just a few minutes ago. So I'm going to open up Polymesh, and we're going to import KIRI tests, and it should be this one. And when you download it, you can download it as FBX or OBJ, either one. The OBJs will come with separate textures. The FBX, it's baked into it. So let's go, and it does a low poly as well as a high poly model. So let's open up the high poly. Okay, now one thing about this is whenever you do your scans, a lot of 3D scanners and stuff like that, their orientation gets a little crazy, wackadoo. Puts it on the side, a 45-degree angle. Obviously, there's not much you can do about that except edit it afterwards. So we'll just go to move, rotate it. There we go. And let's take a look at the polygons here. You can see how much detail generated just from the scan. As you can see, all my scan was directed onto one side, so the back half doesn't get much of anything, which is fine. That was the intention for this particular model. So let's go ahead and take a look at the textures, and let's load texture import. And it does a 1K, no, it does a 2K and a 4K JPEG for you. And it kind of looks like the UVs are a little different for each one. That's kind of interesting. So let's take that one here. Got to figure out which one I just used. I'm going to say this one and flip. And go over to your texture. You always want to flip your vertical whenever you import a texture in using OBJ. And let's see if this works. Nope. Let's go to this one. This one's already set right. No. That one? That'll work for now. Alright. As you can see, it wrapped around it beautifully. Of course, right now we got all these little dangly bits going on in here. So we'll go ahead and capture just a little piece of it there, do Control-Shift-A, and all the little dangly bits are gone, and you go delete hidden. If you're not sure where that is, this is just my custom UI. You can get that over on Gumroad if you need to. Go over to, it's geometry, modify, and delete hidden right there. Okay, so now we got our texture in here, we got a model in here. Now we can start doing some editing, because I want to get a subdivision model. I want to get a quad-based model out of this. Right now it's all triangulated, you know, and it's good for static meshes, but if you want to move it, manipulate it, you want to do a sub-D model. So let's go ahead and let's clean this up. First, what I want to do is I want to divide it once and turn off the smooth modifier when you do that division. I'm going to go ahead, delete lower, and use my custom UI again, so everything's up in here. And then yeah, delete lower. Yeah, it's all right in there for you. And go down to Polypaint, because we want the textures to be able to follow everything over whenever we do our sub-D modeling. So polypaint from texture, make sure that mRGB is turned on, and boom. Okay, so now it is vertex paint or polypaint. So now it's all baked into the model, and that's what we want. So if you look down here at your texture map, it's turned off. Okay, so now we can go ahead, and I just want to remove some of this stuff in here. We will do a slice circle. Unfortunately, you can't use your knife cut brushes because it's not a closed off mesh. So just FYI, so I'm just going to do a slice circle instead. And what it's going to do is it's going to slice the model and create another polygroup for us. And that's going to help us out here. And turn the line off there so we can see it easier. Okay, so now I just click on Control-Shift-Click and then delete hidden. Got rid of some of that junk there. We'll turn on this here. Probably take some of this off. Go to Slice Curve. Give it a second to percolate there. Okay, we turn the line back on. There we go. Go ahead and select our one there. Delete hidden. There we go. And not too bad. There's still some bits and pieces there that need to go away, but that's okay. So what I want to do now is turn this into quad-based. We're going to go ahead, I'm just going to delete the history to save a little bit of memory here. And then do come up to your undo history here and do click or control and click. I think that's highlighted. Yep. Okay. So now what that's going to do is going to record. It's going to record your history there. So this way we could take all the high poly paint information and transfer it to our new mesh. So we go to geometry. Go to Z remesher. We're going to keep it at 5. And Z remesh. And then give it a minute to work on that. There we go. Took about a minute to process that. And as you can see, we got a nice quad mesh now. Turn on our lines. And it's about 14,000 active points. Probably a little heavy for some things, but it's good for demo purposes here. And we can even, if we wanted, we could unwrap this bad boy. Go to UV Master. And since there's not going to really have any problems unwrapping this, let's see what happens. Alright, that took a little longer than expected. We can look at it here, flatten. Probably not the best unwrap. Unflatten here. So you might want to change this. Let's see, polygroups, symmetry off. Try one more unwrap here, see if it helps. Probably not. Alright, that didn't work as well as I thought it would. It's usually how it goes when I do tutorials. It runs perfectly when I test things out, and not so much when I do the tutorial. But we do have UVs on here. The problem that's probably popping up is things like this, where you got this mesh, kind of this little handle here, these little things here. You know, it's trying to figure out how to unwrap all that stuff successfully. Looks like we got meshes interacting with other, you know, kind of protruding into it, so that really messes up the algorithm. But otherwise, we got UVs on there. That really wasn't the scope of this tutorial anyways, but I wanted to show you it was possible. So let's go ahead and let's start getting our detail back on here. Alright, so what you do is you go to your subtool menu and you go down to project history, because you remember when we control shift, there's that little marker right there. It's remembering what that model looked like, and so now all we have to do is start projecting history. Alright, so now we got a little bit of the color back. We can turn our smooth modifier back on and we can start dividing up the model. And then every time we divide, project. Divide, project. It's best to do it this way so you don't get so many artifacts by doing it every subdivision. I mean, you could divide it 6 times and then project history, but you might end up with a lot more artifacts from the projection. So we'll divide, project, and the higher the polygon count, the longer the projection will take. So divide again. So this one we're up to 3.5 million points. Project history. This one will take a minute or so. Okay, all done. And now we have all our detail back, but on a quad base model. And the advantage of having quad base and subdivision levels is now we can do manipulations. So first off, what I want to do is go ahead and do deformation real quick. We're going to go down to contrast, which will globally adjust the detail level. There we go. And it kind of sharpens up those details. And we can turn off polypaint real quick so you can see. So now we got some pretty nice details going on in there. We're still missing some here and there, like in the cracks in here, but we should be able to fix that. If we go to masking and mask by polypaint, and now we can click our I want to find like a dark region where it kind of baked in a shadow. Okay. And we're going to go inverse it. I'll blur it just a little bit. Click OK. And if you do Control H, that will hide the mask. It's still active, but now you can see the deformation is a little bit better. We're going to type -1. Oop. So maybe -0.5. There we go. Now we got some of the information in there. And go ahead and clear the mask. Control and drag. Now we got it all baked in there. Okay, so now we can manipulate this model any way we like. And the best way to do it is at its lowest subdivision level. So now, if I wanted, I could go ahead and I'm gonna mask them. I'm just going to smooth the mask a little bit. Use our manipulator here, our gizmo. Come up here and we can do basic things like this. Okay, clear the mask and go back up to our highest subdivision. Now everything's reprojected back onto it. Alright, so let's just keep on manipulating here, show you some things here so we can move things a lot easier at lower levels. Doesn't get bogged down. We can do a lot of big changes. Like if we wanted to flatten and widen this base here, we could. Bulge them out a little bit. Say like I want to get... Move him. I can even scale it a little bit if I wanted. Boom. And go back up to the highest subdivision. Oh, look. We're making progress. So, other things that are kind of handy if you go back down to your subdivision level 1, if you use this form soft here, this is quite handy. On the lowest subdivision, let's see how this works. It's kind of like an inflate, but it kind of holds on to the underlying information too. It's literally like a softer version of inflate. We can even go negative and push that in. Recess those make-believe eyes a little bit more and then drag it back up. Boom. Look. There we go. Quick, easy manipulation using your subdivision levels. And then if you want, you could export this out. If you wanted to generate a new texture map there, go to your UVs real quick and change it to 4096. You can even go up to 8K if you wanted. And then under texture, create new from Polypaint. And there we go. You now have your baked texture on there. You've got a 4K texture map. So now you can export this out at a lower subdivision, create a normal map for it, and have a low poly version for whatever you're doing. Video games or renderings in UE5, whatever. So, but that's basically it today, guys. I'll have this model available over on Gumroad. I'll have a decimated version, sorry. It's too big for... too big to keep it free and send all the texture information over there. But I'll have a decimated version of this so you can take a look at the detail. And otherwise, yeah, definitely check out the KIRI engine and take it into Zbrush and start making some cool stuff with it. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and we will catch you in the next video. You guys have a great day.